he has this crazy ability to like take someone, especially if they like have never gotten a chance at anything. Like that's his like main target audience. Like I don't know how he does it.
That's what I try to do, and I choose the wrong people.
He would kill it. Imagine because of him, all the homeless people are like, you got a Roth IRA?
Welcome back, everybody, to another super sick episode of The Careful Boys. And today we have a special guest. We have Mr. Arvid in the building. Hey,
Arvid, thanks for having me.
Hey, right before this camera's on, I was like, how do you know Joe?
He's Jake's friend.
Yeah.
No, but how does he know you?
Yeah.
So he knows Jake.
He introduced me.
Oh, okay.
He knows you.
I know, but I don't know him.
That's because you introduced him.
I just met him today.
How does he know Joe? He knows you. Got it? Okay, let's move on.
Got our story straight.
How do you know Jake?
That's a funny story. I was wrapping up the role I had with Jordan Belfort, and then I was like, man, I should just hit up a bunch of YouTubers and like people I want to talk to before I actually leave the role, because I had his email domain, like arvid@jordanbelfort.com. You know, fantastic.
For those of you who don't know who Jordan Belfort is, he is the Wolf of Wall Street.
The real one.
The real one.
Not Leonardo DiCaprio.
The real guy.
The real one.
Yeah. So basically, I was like, okay, who do I hit up? And I hit up a bunch of random people. Jake was one of them, because I saw his video on like religions and cults, and I was like, man, how do you start a cult? That sounds amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Are you here to recruit us?
no, I was like, I wonder
to join us.
And I'm seeing him, I was like, oh, this guy's going for it. You know, I've never seen anyone post videos like this. Yeah. And I hit him up, and then I was like, hey, are you free to talk? And then we just jump on a call, and I start asking him like how the world works, and then like he didn't have any like answers for me at the
How
time.
do you do that? You're just like, hey man, how does the world work? It's kind of a crazy question.
Yeah, and I was like, well, certain things I'll keep off camera, but like I asked like really sketchy questions, right? And then like he didn't give me an answer. He's a man of a few words verbally sometimes. And then I was like, no, I'm not gonna let this go. This guy clearly is a researcher. Yeah. And so I kept bothering him for like weeks. So I was like, hey, how does this work? How does this work?
Yeah.
Can you like research and find
Out
the
of your
answer?
own curiosity.
Yeah. And then I felt kind of bad, and I was like, maybe I should give something in return. So I was like, hey, let me help him.
He's like my ChatGPT, just making him work.
And then I started like seeing if I could help him grow his business, and then like that just built kind of our friendship over the year, and then we became like business partners over the past few years. But
What's
that was
one question you ask?
Yeah. I gotta hear this question.
You don't need to tell us the answers.
He's like Shadow GBT. He tells you all the things in the shadow.
okay, so I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, so this is, I've never said this in public, sorry.
Okay.
I was really wondering, like, why did slavery actually end? Because historically, the reasons don't make any sense when you think about it, from the fact that, like, independently, like, it wasn't just the US around that time from some war, but that's not really what happened. Like, around the entire world, it ended all at the same time. And, like, before that, it's, like, thousands and thousands of years where, like, half of a population usually is, like, enslaved, you know, regardless of the racial difference.
And even this by the same people. Too.
Yeah. And so what usually happens is, like, the norm is you win a war against your neighbor, and now they become the slaves, no matter what country you're in, right? Yeah. And I'm like, why did this stop? And then I was like, Jake, give me the answer, like, why did slavery
Wow.
You gotta let me know.
Yeah, I gotta understand this.
Because I'm trying to bring it back.
Like, it didn't make any sense to me. You know, and I'm from Bangladesh originally. We were enslaved by the British and stuff. You know, so I was like, okay, I need to know what's going on here. Like, why'd we get free? You know, why'd they let us free? And so, like,
That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Because it seems like a sick deal if you're not the slave.
Yeah.
So like why would they give that up?
Yeah. If you were a slaver.
Yeah, that's kind of dope.
So it was an interesting thing. Like, I ended up, that kind of took me to a very like crazy rabbit hole, because like after I worked for Jordan and these other celebrities, I realized like pretty much everything you see in the mainstream is pretty far off from like reality. And so I was like, okay, what's happening here? And usually it's very simple, like some guy's just trying to make money. Like, it's not like that crazy. Yeah. And like that's like most of life, or some dude's just sitting there is like, oh, how do I make more money? And the only difference that really happened was because of the Industrial Revolution. Finally, there's this middle class, and like eventually this whole concept of a company and businesses, all this stuff emerged. And basically the real sort of interesting thing that happened was that essentially the people who wanted jobs, it's kind of like what you see today with like the US and Mexico. It's like a lot of like white Americans are like, hey, I want the job, so I want to cut off the board. Like, does that make sense? Like, I'm being careful with my words, but basically they want
Just say it.
Yeah, you're good.
essentially they're like
People are
wanting-
retarded.
Yeah, they basically.
You're talking about working class.
Yeah. So basically, like, say like white Americans who are lower income, they want jobs, and they're like, okay, well, all the jobs are going to illegal immigrants in their head. So they're like, let me stop. So that's some form.
Yeah, they're gonna undercut me. What am I gonna do?
yeah.
I have a family. I need to support that.
So it's basically this hyper-competitive situation, actually, where people who are anti-slavery actually were the racist ones, interestingly, and the people who are pro-slavery, it's a very different dynamic than what you'd imagine. So that was like the weird rabbit hole I eventually,
So he eventually gave you the answer?
No, Jake never gave me the answer. I had to like figure this one out on my own. But everything else was good. We worked really well together because like I figured out
You do want slavery to come back.
No. I'm a very libertarian type of guy. You do whatever you want type of guy. But
the anti-slavery were the racist ones.
yes, definitely. Like basically, it's really similar to people who just don't want immigrants right now to have jobs. It's just like that. It's like, hey, I want the jobs for myself. The concept of a middle class and jobs wasn't even a thing before the Industrial Revolution. But like once that happened, pretty much people of their own ethnicity are like, why are these jobs going to these individuals from other countries? Like they shouldn't be getting the jobs I want.
So if we use like a U.S. example, then it would be like, God damn, that guy's picking the cotton for free. I'll charge a quarter. Get rid of this thing so y'all can charge a quarter.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a good rate.
But I like black people.
No, he hates
No,
them.
he doesn't. He doesn't like them.
No, he does like
No, he wanted to end the slavery because he doesn't like them. Because he took the guy's jobs. Does that make sense?
They still hate him. Like I still hate him.
Oh, but taking their job was
But
a
I
big
just
flex.
don't want him to be a slave.
But when he ends slavery, now they have to be paid.
Pretty funny.
Yeah.
So then if they have to be paid, then it's competition and they can get their job back.
So you do want to be a slaver?
No.
No, he said he's libertarian. He said he doesn't mind if he is. I just like the idea of him calling Jake for years and going, why did slavery end? And Jake's like, no, I'm not telling you. And then finally he's like, okay, listen. Lean in.
It's funny how from all these scholars, the one that does know is a Vietnamese.
Yeah. It had to take some guy from Bangladesh and a kid from Vietnam to like figure out like why slavery actually ended. But yeah, I would say the one rule that I got out of it is like once you realize like everybody's just trying to make money for themselves, that's the one universal thing that's kind of timeless. Then it like life kind of starts to make a lot.
That is the root of a lot
I mean,
of things.
even during feudalism, like it's before industrialization, it's just money.
Yeah.
It wasn't paid in coin, it was paid in crop or whatever, but that's the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you doing at Jordan's his like company?
Yeah, Jordan's. I mean, depends on what you want to know, but
The juicy, dirty shit.
And when did you attach to the company? Was it banging Margot Robbie? Or is it after he was arrested by the FBI? Or like what?
Or like, because you're young, right? He came up, he was doing his thing in his 80s.
Yeah.
So we were like babies.
yeah.
In the 80s. Right? So we were all babies. Like,
Sell me this pen. Fucking 80.
so did you work for his company recently?
Yeah, so it was like the year of the pandemic is when we met. But yeah, basically, what's the story? I didn't actually want to work for him because this is gonna sound bad, but like, I really like him and respect him. He's a brilliant guy, really great guy actually. But at the time, I didn't think about working for him because before that, I was with Shaun White, and then
The snowboarder?
yeah, and was with yeah. But that was interesting because I was Shaun White's manager, and then because of that, I got to go to all like the big celebrity parties. And that's when you see like all the A-listers and stuff. And then so to me, Jordan wasn't like an A-lister, so I was like, I was just trying to find another celebrity basically, but I really liked him from a business standpoint, so I was like, oh, let me see if I can help him. Like I didn't charge any money initially. I was like, I'm happy to help you with any of your businesses, but the only thing I want to know, I just want to know the truth about things. So the only thing I want to know is like, how did he become the youngest self-made billionaire when he was like in his 20s? And that was the only answer I was trying to get. I was like, what did this guy do differently? Because he didn't have any connections and all this stuff. And I did get an answer over time. It's kind of a more complicated answer, but essentially it kind of boils down to, it mostly boils down to two things. He has this insane ability to charge like 100 times more for something than a normal person would.
So he's a great salesman.
Yeah, but like it's not like he's selling, like it's not like he feels like he got a great deal. He actually, like the way that he's able to charge so much is because he still feels like a small amount of money. So like to him, charging $1 million is like pennies. Like it just feels like he's charging. Like, does that make sense? It's kind of a weird.
And does it feel like, and he feels like he is giving that much
Oh,
value?
way more in value. Yeah. He feels like, oh, I'm using this money, now I have to hire all these employees. Like, he doesn't feel like he's really benefiting from the situation personally, unless it's like 10, 50 million. Then it's like, okay, now I'm really benefiting. But he really feels like $1 million is a small amount of money. Like, it's like it's just a weird mindset difference. Yeah. And then like the second thing is like, he's really, really good at having no ego when it comes to growing a business. So like, what they didn't explain in the Wolf of Wall Street movie properly is like, he hired basically 1,000 semi-homeless people. Like those people that he brought, all these people who are just kind of goofy dudes. They're all like people who probably didn't even graduate high school. They couldn't pass any finance exams or anything. And then he thought like, hey, give me those kinds of people because I can train them and they'll actually listen to what I say. Wow. Because they themselves don't have any ego. Yeah. Because he used to be in the meat and seafood industry before he did Wall Street, and so he used to deal with like meat and seafood guys. So he's like, yeah, I prefer these.
They're all ran by the mafia in the East Coast. The produce, that's tough shit.
So he's like a true leader then. Because if you have to lead a bunch of retards, that's hard.
No. He's really like insanely good at dealing with like undereducated people. That's like his like. Wow.
I wouldn't know how to create like turn a team of meth heads into like Wall Street sales guys.
He has to handle the homeless problem.
That's fucking crazy.
We gotta get Jordan Belfort on the homeless problem.
Dude, he would kill it.
Yeah.
What about the retard problem though?
I don't know which business he's talking about, dude.
So he was able to make all those guys pretty much millionaires too?
Yeah, no, he has this crazy ability to like take someone, especially if they like have never gotten a chance at anything. Like that's his like main target audience. Like I don't know how he does it.
That's what I try to do, and I choose the wrong people. He would kill it. Imagine because of him, all the homeless people are like, you got a Roth IRA? It's like, whoa, this guy's cool.
This guy's sick. That's actually a good idea. I should.
I like him.
That's good advice.
Yeah. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, and then with Jordan, basically most of what we did was we'd fly around the country and like we'd meet with companies that need help with growing their sales or their
fix their
yeah.
So you just fix it.
Sorry, we have a requirement to say it 10 times an episode.
Yeah. Part of the contract.
He's a great guy. He's really, I mean, honestly, I've met a lot of people now, and I think he's one of my favorite people. Like, he's this insanely honest, really, really smart guy that, like, he has all these qualities that he never shows publicly, but, like, he's still, like, definitely one of my favorite people.
Is his energy level, like, pouring out of the cup? Like, some of
No, he's pretty introverted.
Really?
Yeah.
So if he wakes up, does he, like, wake up slowly, or is he, like...
Actually, this is a cool thing.
No, because some high performers that I meet, you're like, oh, you're born for this. You literally are on Red Bull, like not literally, but like they wake up, boom, 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 only need to sleep 2 hours a day. They could fly every single time zone and they're just constantly crushing. And I'm like, the amount of batteries you have, you're made to like be the most successful person.
He does have that in terms of just like his thinking battery. So he's not like running around talking to a bunch of people. It's mostly just me and him. Like, so I was the president of his companies, but that's another crazy thing about him. I only talked to him once, and he never even met me. This is in a conference call, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to be the president of my company?" He's like, that's how like his judgment's like insane.
Whoa!
And it's
Were you half homeless at the time?
Yeah, basically.
Like, this guy's dumb enough to be my president.
Yeah, he really fits the bill. I was like scratching at the time, everything. Yeah.
Talk about Roth IRA.
Yeah. Yeah, he's an interesting guy. Like, he only sleeps a few hours a night, but I've noticed that from like a lot of the guys that came up in the 1980s, they really don't sleep more than like 2 or 3 hours a night. Like,
Especially if they're from New York.
yeah, like Donald Trump, like, you know how they said like, well, what's this guy doing? Why is he up all night? That's like the norm. Like, those guys from the 80s from New York, they really, really don't sleep. They just have like mentally they're super on. It's not like they're physically running around doing all this stuff, but Donald Trump's a good example where it's like, even if you hate the guy somehow at this age, like, he just has a lot of energy, and that's kind of his whole era of people.
So we just gotta stay up all night. Think about how easy the show's gonna be.
So going back a little bit, how did you go from like? How did you even get to this level of like Shaun White even like? Where was
Did you snowboard? And
Where
stuff?
No, I can't snowboard. Yeah, I can't
You
do
said
any
you were
stuff,
his manager?
Yeah.
How'd you land that? Like what?
It was like, how to explain it? Like so before that, I was in Silicon Valley. So I did like the normal, like I had a math degree, and then I worked in tech companies. Like my parents, it's like at least I was never a doctor, but at least
Like startups and stuff.
Yeah. And then
straight out of college?
I worked for like Oracle and like large tech
Oh
companies.
wow, damn.
Then I just switched to startups, and then like I just kept quitting every couple months, job to job, and I kept like
asking all your bosses what happened to slavery?
Yeah.
Gotta tell me the secret.
Yeah. And it was pretty bad actually. It's like 9 months out of each year for the first couple of years after college. After like I would just like not be working. I'd just be like staying at like friends' places and stuff for free.
So you were kind of homeless.
Yeah. I remember like there's one year where I felt like I didn't even work at all, and then I was technically under the poverty line when I got my like when I was filing my taxes. My dad was like, "What are you doing?" This whole year, and then I just kept jumping from thing to thing, and then I realized like when I jumped to startups, they kind of it's a little bit more acceptable going like 1 year at each startup, but then I heard this word consulting, where you're technically allowed to only spend a few months at a company. I was like, fantastic, that's what I am.
I do that anyway. Yeah.
So then I made up this label for myself, and then I just like started helping a bunch of companies in Silicon Valley, primarily with like hiring people, basically. And then after that, I got introduced to Sean, and I was like, how the fuck do I help this? Like, I don't know anything about sports or snowboarding or anything, right? And I was like, well, I do know how to hire people at this point. And so I was like, hey, let me just try to hire better people. So that was kind of my footing in, and then afterwards I'd kind of learn on the job.
How did you get introduced to Sean through Silicon Valley? Like, rub shoulders like that?
No. It was through Tony Robbins. So I attended a bunch of his events, and then I paid for like the platinum tier without. I didn't have enough money for it. I just put it all on the.
Sean's at a lot of his events.
Yeah. And then I got introduced to him, but I feel like a lot of people get like briefly introduced to people all the time. So I don't actually think that. I think my main skill is like the moment I'm introduced to someone, I'm like there to like find any way that I can to actually like help them with any skill that I have. So there's usually something that everybody has where they can like find a way to help somebody. But that's pretty much like the only advantage that I have when I talk to these people. Is I like aggressively trying to find a genuine way to help them, and I usually do it for free initially for like the first couple weeks.
I'm sure we could use some help.
Cleaning the floors,
The floor does need cleaning.
as long as I have a place to sleep on the couch, I'll take yeah.
Dang, that's
We
cool.
have many couches.
What year was it that you were with Shaun White? Like, what era was that?
I was like 2019, I think. 2019.
He was like pretty young still, huh, at that time.
Yeah, he's still in his 30s. He's a cool guy. He's super smart guy actually. He's just like a really smart guy that happened to be a snowboarder, and he just like actually this is kind of a cool thing. I was like, why is he this good? Because he barely trains like at all. Like I've almost never seen the guy train, and I was like, where does this come from?
fair.
And it's because his memory's so insanely good. Kind of like, if you're going to study for a test, there's people who are really good at school, right? But if he lands a trick once, like he won one of the Olympics.
That's it.
Yeah, he won one of the Olympics without ever practicing that run. He just landed it once in his life, like certain moves. And his memory's just insane.
His shit's insane. Like his highlight clips, like he's fucking flying like 500, like half a football field in the air.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. He also doesn't feel pain. Like that's like he doesn't really. That's like one of his big things. Like he'll feel like if it's sore or something, but he doesn't feel pain. Like
You can't break his heart. All these girls are like, I just can't get to it.
Oh, he's a redhead, right?
kind of, yeah.
Okay, because they have like
Auburn, it's what he says.
they have like a genetic thing where like painkillers don't work, but they also have a threshold that's really high.
Oh, redheads do.
What, you trying
wow.
on Hannah already? You dirty boy.
His wife is a Shaun White.
A Sean Auburn.
Oh yeah.
So he tells his wife, hey, you don't feel pain, right?
Let me try something real quick.
This is why you don't chase me when I leave. It's that.